Did y'all know that minimum wage is lower now than it was during the Great Depression? The weekly minimum wage from 1933 translated to today's money would have been almost $400. And the current minimum wage is less than $300 a week. You don't even want to know how much more expensive housing is, but I'm going to tell you anyway. The average cost of a house during the Great Depression, translated to today's money, is about $70,000. The average cost of a house in America today is almost $400,000.
So this TikToker by the name of Rainbow Beach points out something that is really interesting, and that is the simple fact that if you look at our economy today and you look at the Great Depression economy, there's a lot of stark similarities, especially when it comes to the wages that are being paid and the cost of housing. In fact, the cost of housing is far worse and the wages are far worse. But if this is true, then how is our economy functioning? Well, on some level, it just literally isn't. If you look at the stock market right now, it is not doing very well, and that is specifically because consumer spending is falling. Of course, consumer spending is falling because the cost of living is increasing so rapidly, especially when you look at rent. People just literally don't have the money to spend on random consumer products. But this does raise a really important question because we're not in the middle of a Great Depression right now, or at least not yet. So what's keeping everything functioning? And the answer to that is credit. And now this is actually something that's very scary, and it's something that we all really need to recognize because everything from the cars that people are buying all the way to their regular consumer purchases are now heavily done in the form of credit. And the danger behind that is that credit not only comes with it incredibly high interest rates, which means that everything effectively costs a heck of a lot more, and a bunch of companies end up profiting by doing literally nothing other than providing that credit, but it can also create these really extreme economic bubbles where any little bit of a downturn can lead to this sort of cascading effect of everything kind of collapsing. This is a major problem, and it's something that we really need to understand. The United States economy is not functioning very well, and the only solution to this, unfortunately, is one of the things that politicians have pretty much taken off of the table, and there's a deep irony behind this. You see, politicians, both in the Democratic and Republican Party, are trying to pretend that what we are dealing with right now is rapid inflation that's due to the stimulus checks. But the stimulus money is all gone. I mean, literally, what world are these people living in where they think that the money that people got in stimulus checks is in any way, shape, or form hanging out in people's bank accounts? It just doesn't make any sense. Any type of inflation impact from that would have already dissipated. It's very obvious right now that what is happening is corporations just using the pandemic and a litany of other factors to excuse themselves as they increase prices for no reason, especially when you look at housing. I mean, seriously, housing was completely unaffected by the pandemic. I mean, think about it for a second. Not only does the United States have more housing than people, but also, if you're a landlord, your only cost is the cost of maintenance and the mortgage. Those things aren't magically going to go up. Those are basically fixed costs. So the idea that landlords are increasing rents right now is just absolutely ridiculous. And it just goes to show that the economy right now is built on price gouging. The reality is things should be getting cheaper year over year, and instead they keep getting more expensive year over year. And the fact that there are such extreme increases in the cost of so many things right now is not reflective of any structural problem other than companies wanting to make a profit. But when that is happening at the same time that wages are stagnating, then it leads to this problem where the economy can come to a grinding halt because consumer spending effectively stops. I mean, think about it. How many shoes and clothes or even groceries can people buy if the cost of rent goes up by 30, 40, or even 100% sometime? If that is what's happening, then the money that would theoretically be circulating in the rest of the economy instead goes to the rent extraction economy. And the reality is that interest on credit is also part of the rent extraction economy. The reality is that getting interest from credit provides essentially no value to the economy. All you're doing is, in most instances, sometimes even creating money and then demanding an extreme amount of additional money back. Structurally, that system just can't support itself. I mean, think about it. An economy cannot function if the primary growth within the economy is all based off of rent extraction? Who are they extracting rents from? We can't obviously all be extracting rents from each other. There has to be some sort of productive labor that's going on. So they're extracting rents from working class people. But in order to generate the demand that leads to that productive labor having any job, you have to actually produce things and sell them. And if you can't sell them because the rent extraction economy is too large and is taking too much money from the working class, then all of a sudden all of the real production stops. And the very minute that the real production stops and people start losing their jobs and defaulting on their credits, well, then all of a sudden the credit economy starts collapsing. And this is kind of where we're at.
Hey, so you're the first time buyer?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. You're coming at a horrible time. America has a massive housing shortage and almost none are on sale.
I'm desperate.
Perfect. So you waived your right to inspection, right?
Of course.
And you can make your offer all cash.
Well, probably not.
All right. And the seller still wants to be able to use the kitchen whenever they want?
I thought that was really good. And one of the most important things about this clip, and also just to pay attention to what's going on in the housing market right now, is that there's been all this talk about the recovery. You know, Biden got in office and he brought us back and look at these gains. And even under the Trump presidency, they were, the economy's so splendid. Under the Obama presidency, the economy, it's so great. It's so splendid. We rose it so much from the George W. Bush crash. But the reality is this. The reality is the housing market. The reality is wages. The reality is that everybody's still broke for the most part. The reality is that people are still drowning in debt. The reality is that millennials have faced 2 recessions. And the reality is that the, one that we kind of, put a little Band-Aids over with the little rescue package, all the stuff that happened with COVID. No. The crash hasn't even started yet.
And how do you feel about sleeping on the roof? All the competitive buyers are willing to sleep on the roof.
I'm not planning on sleeping.
Knew I liked you. The price went up $100,000 over asking just while we were talking.
I can't afford that.
Does it matter?
Nope.
And this is, again, a key example of one of the things that millennials and Gen Z face is that we're always being told we're just simply financially irresponsible. Now, it's true that irresponsibility often comes with youth. However, when generations like baby boomers and older generations, when they were our age, when they were in their 20s, when they were in their 30s, everything was cheaper. The dollar went further. They were able to build wealth. And they act like, if you just stop buying avocado toast and you stop getting coffee from Starbucks in the morning, might take 5 or 6 months, but after that, that'll stack up and then you'll be able to buy a house. Yeah, of course. But, again, the reality is that the economy really hasn't ever recovered from 2008. It really hasn't. I mean, sure, people are back in work and credit has, exploded, but the real economy has not improved.
Mind if I take your hand? Agent's fate.
Not at all.
Awesome. We just sold the house to someone else.
Sorry about that.
And the harsh truth is that we can't just bail ourselves out every time the economy has a major crash. The major crash that happened in 2008, we run into something like that again. We're not just going to be able to flood the markets once again. We just did that for COVID. We just flooded the markets with more fiat currency. We can't just continuously do that. We can't just continuously bail out banks. We have to actually do something about our economic problems. I mean, look at this. Millennials, Gen Z, we're not buying homes. We're not starting families. And if we do start families, it's much later. The nuclear family. One of the biggest reasons the nuclear family structure isn't held together is because people can't afford to start families. You know what I'm saying? So literally the very fabric of this nation is falling apart, much of it due to economic problems. And this right here is why political involvement is so important. Just look at you. Go try to buy a house. Just go try.